very good morning to all. Hi, my name is Ahmad Ghufran. Today I'll be the facilitator for today's table talk. Okay, joining me today is Ahmad Ghufran as our distinguished guest and also former KO Adam. All right. Just okay. Continue lah. First, the problems that we are trying to tackle. Okay. Um, First problem here, we're gonna in regards to the use of technology in society is social inequality, right? Okay, how does social inequality happen in the face of technological differences, and how can we better ourselves in reducing the social inequality, right? So as we can see, certain students have the ability to gain more access to more technological devices, and some students might not afford these kind of privileges. And the second one is the cultural capital. Based on what Pierre Bourdieu said on cultural capital, it's basically knowledge, education, and access to social networks, right? So, how does this affect the students that we have, right? Meaning that if they lack the access towards the cultural capital, how does it affect them, right? Moving forward, okay. Now, first I will define the role of the digital technology in education. First, first point would be cultural capital and digital capital, right? So from here we can see that the cultural capital is what makes the culture itself, right? Books, media, and so on, right? Example being that stories like Hang Tuah and so on and so forth, right? Right, and we also will discuss on the reproduction of inequality and how it impacts the students, right? So I would like to see your points on how we can bridge the gap with the digital resources. Uh, okay, I'm gonna go for it.
Yes, thank you to our esteemed moderator today. Regarding the issue of bridging the gap with digital resources, is it?
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about the bridging of gap with digital resources, we need to look into 2 points. The idea of educational justice becomes central here. Okay, digital resources can act as means of equalizing opportunities, especially if open sources and free sources are promoted. This challenges the idea that education is primarily in an arena where children from privileged backgrounds have an advantage, reinforcing the notion of meritocracy in society. And then that brings us to the role of community and social networks. Access to digital network can help build social networks that are otherwise difficult for disadvantaged students to form. Through technology, students can engage with peers from different socio-cultural backgrounds, thus expanding their social and cultural capital.
This is good. Okay, I can see how it can affect and improve their situation, right? Then, right, we'll move forward with Adam's point. How about the challenges that face underprivileged students? How can we better ourselves on that?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moderator. For the challenges faced by underprivileged students, digital divide is a kind of a form of social exclusion. Underprivileged students without access to technology experience and digital knowledge, they tend to have a which exacerbate social stratification. This means that the underprivileged students will be less likely to learn because they have less access to the equipments, uh, social capital. The point of social capital also comes to play when the students in low income households may not have access to the kind of social capital such as networks, mentorships, and etc. that their affluent peers enjoy. Digital tools can help level this playing field by offering a platform for virtual collaboration and access to new networks.
And as you can see, right, so social capital here is it's like the culture of having cables, right? You know that when people have the connections, that they can get better opportunities in there, right? So it's quite a big challenge when people have better social capital. All right, moving back to Gufran. What do you think about the solutions to overcome this digital divide? And what can you recommend to the community?
Okay, thank you again, our esteemed moderator. So, regarding the solutions to overcome the digital divide, one of the things that we can suggest is that the community engagement and collective action. In order to overcome the digital divide, it requires community engagement and collective action. Overcoming the digital divide, as I say, it requires community engagement and collective action, which are key component logical theory about social. By working together with local communities, tech companies, and educational institutions, society can make digital education more equitable from a sociological standpoint. The government intervention is providing digital resources is crucial. Okay, the government intervention in addressing the structural inequalities regarding the policies. We need to promote more universal access to technology, a way to challenge the structural barriers that perpetuate educational and social inequalities. Yeah, that is some kind of a suggestion that I can give as for the solution.
All right, a well point. Yeah, and I do agree that government play a crucial role in this particular point. Without government's role, it's hard to implement these kind of social changes on an effective level, right? Okay, and on towards the next point. So we can see that sometimes teachers don't are not empowered. So how can we empower these teachers into enacting these social changes? So I would like to go back to Adam on his thoughts that how on how we can empower teachers in creating social change.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Imran. Teachers as agents of social change. As we all know, teachers are very important because they teach at an very early stage already to the students, to all the people, so that they are exposed at an early age to the technology, such as presenting the class by PowerPoint presentations or playing videos. So the teachers play an important role as the agents of social change. Through digital technology, they can promote inclusion. What this means that the lower income household families can also be included in the technological advances by when the teachers expose to them in the class. This will challenge the cultural stereotypes and also provide the students with equal opportunities. Educators can also empower students by teaching them how to use technology critically and also foster a more democratic learning environment. And also critical pedagogy. Pedagogy is what pedagogy means is the way of the educators in teachers. The educators need to adopt a critical pedagogy approach where technology is not just a tool for learning but also a means of questioning and disrupting traditional power structures in education. This in turn will empower students from disadvantaged backgrounds to challenge social inequalities. Okay.
Interesting point on the last one, right? So on critical pedagogy. So a lot of people tend to overlook that aspect of teaching, right? So the ability for us to teach students on a critical level is so much, is so embedded into how we can change the social structure that without it, we tend to fail as teachers if we do not implement our pedagogical approach towards the learning process. Right. Okay. And back to Gufran. As we can see from the previous points, we also can assume that we need to have an impact of equal access to technology to students, right? So, as we can see, still it remains the fact that higher income families have better access to technology. So how can we better empower students and reduce the impact of technological differences in the students?
Yes, thank you again to our moderator, Mr. Imran. So, the question on the impact of equal access to technology on students, as I mentioned earlier, the government intervention, and then not to forget, another point is to reduce the social stratification. How to do it? By providing equal access to digital resources, including rural schools, urban schools. Schools can help reduce the impact of social stratification in education. When students from all backgrounds have access to the same digital tools, it helps level the playing field and reduces the long-term effect of socio-economic disparities on academic success. Uh, Another thing is the cultural assimilation and integration between the digital technology, which also facilitates the integration of diverse cultural perspective into the curriculum, which helps students from a different socio-cultural background. We have diversity social background, and then it can enable them to see their own cultures represented and respected in the educational process.
Uh, that's a very interesting point. I do believe in the same point, the cultural assimilation, and also through cultural assimilation, we are not isolating them from their peers. You know, instead of them thinking, oh, this person is more wealthy than me, therefore I cannot relate to them. We then bridge those gaps in between the students, right? So, so on closing, I would like to just conclude our discussion. So first, call to action would be is the social equity and digital technology. How can we best promote the digital technology so that it applies to the broader sociological principle, right? Um, Thus, we are promoting the social equity, right? And then this will help develop them regardless of their economic background, right? And then another one it would be that creating more inclusive society, right? So by introducing this technological gap, we reduce the technological gap. We are able to create a more inclusive society where they do not feel differentiated by their social status, and they are allowed to express themselves within their peers of even different social status and income, right? So, would you like to add anything else on to the discussion before we close our discussion? All right. So, thank you so much for coming to
Yes.
our roundtable discussion. I appreciate both of your input,
Yes. Thank you.
and
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you for
yeah,
inviting us.
Yes. Thank you
right,
very much for the opportunity.
all right. Thank you so much for having such wonderful discussions, and I would like to see everyone on the next discussion. Thank you.